We are beginning our drive over to Edison's laboratory and home, and it's about a 30-minute drive until we get there. We are now at Edison's Lab. So we just went to the visitor center and got some information about the place, and they also gave me a Junior Ranger booklet where you have to, fill in some activity stuff, and then you would get a Junior Ranger Thomas Edison badge. We are now looking through Thomas Edison's lab. So we were just in Thomas Edison's library, and we learned that he would spend about 22 hours in his laboratory and sleep for either 30 to 40 minutes on the ground or on a table with a blanket under him. And they have proof because they have pictures from back then showing all the different arrangements, and it's just amazing. So this is the supply room, and we learned that Thomas Edison had people all over the world shop for all these random things that he would use for his inventions. We are now in the heavy machine shop where Edison built most of his inventions, and he would have the people go from the supply room and bring stuff here to try to build what he was thinking for his inventions. The amazing thing is, everything here is real. There are only two types of things that are replicas. It's the clothes, so the clothes seem real, but they're not. And then the light bulbs, so they seem like in the old days when he created the light bulb, but they're actually just replicas. But everything else is original stuff, which is completely amazing. That looks in perfect shape, and it looks like everything could work as it was back then. We are now on the second floor, which is the Precision Machine Shop, Edison's Lab Room 12, and the drafting room. Now in room 12, where Thomas Edison experimented with formulas to create other inventions. We are now in Edison's drafting room where he would sketch a lot of his inventions. We have now left the laboratory, and it was really cool to see. We didn't go to the third floor because there's a tour on Edison's house and we don't want to be late, so we're gonna go to the third floor after. We are now at Thomas Edison's house called Klamath Estate. So we're about to do the tour. We have our tickets, we're gonna go inside, and I won't be able to do any videos inside because it says no photography. But when I come out, that's when I can tell you what we saw inside. So we just finished the tour of Edison's house and we learned about his lifestyle. So he would spend most of the time at the laboratory for most of the day working on his inventions, and then he would come home for dinner, and then he would say he was tired or something and then go up to the library and then have the kids put his papers in the books, and then the next morning he would bring the books over to the laboratory and start that cycle again, which left Mina, who was Edison's wife, the mother of the 3 children, taking care of, running the house and everything. But they also had 10 servants who also had rooms too. And it was this great big house, and Christmas was a big time of the year for them. And of course Edison would be there for Christmas. But yeah, it was really cool seeing the house, and we actually got to say, like, we've been to Edison's house. So we just got lunch from Whole Foods, and now we're heading back to the laboratory. So we're back, and we're gonna look at the other buildings before heading to the third floor of the laboratory. We are now gonna look at the chemistry lab. Another cool thing about Edison is his childhood. As a child, he was very curious, and he always wanted to know, like what's that, and why? And like at school, like he would just keep saying, like why does that work, or like why does that happen? And they called him a troublemaker because he would also, test things. So, he would sit on roosters' eggs and like sit on it and see like what would happen. And then he would light a fire, and he got whipped in the middle of the city because of that. But that's why his mom brought him out of school, and his mom was actually a teacher. He just, there wasn't really many resources. Looking through all the books, and then he found a chemistry book that he was going to use, and so Edison looked through the book and immediately started, reacting all of the different tests and experiments from that book, and then that's basically how it started. So behind me is actually the Blacksmith Shop. So right now we're looking into the pattern shop, and how it works is if they were gonna make something like a wheel, then they would make a pattern for it so they could do it over and over again instead of having to like redo that wheel over and over again. We are now on the 3rd floor of the laboratory, which is where they keep all of his inventions and artifacts. Edison invented the first coffee maker, iron, grill, and waffle maker. You should thank him for your breakfast. So apparently in 1890, Edison made the first talking doll. One of the inventions that Edison made was moving pictures, which is where he took pictures and put them together to make like this movie. So this was actually the music room, and this is where they would, make the recordings for the music they would put on their phonographs, which is, the recorder. And then they would record, like the voice, and then the piano. So what these horns were is Edison tested with many different sizes to test the sound quality for the recording. And as you can see, there are many different sizes, and then that's how they would record most of the recordings, for their phonographs. Well, that's the rest of the factory. It's very interesting and fascinating seeing all of his inventions and creations. This will definitely be something I will remember. Well, I'm heading home.